Welcome to Dolphin Dive Daily, your go-to spot for everything Miami Dolphins. If you bleed aqua and orange, hit that subscribe button and join the pod. Former Miami Dolphins quarterback Ryan Fitzpatrick has never been shy about speaking his mind. And when he took to social media to talk about defensive lineman Zach Sieler's current contract situation, it turned heads. Fitzpatrick, known for his Harvard smarts and gritty play style, shared a measured but clear take. Sieler has outperformed his current deal and deserves a new one. This isn't just teammate loyalty talking. Fitzpatrick has seen firsthand what kind of motor and leadership Sieler brings to the locker room. And when you compare his production to that of other top defensive ends in the league, the discrepancy becomes almost comical. The Dolphins locked Sieler into a 3-year, $30.75 million deal back in 2023. Which at the time seemed fair, even generous, but in the NFL, production often outpaces prediction. And that's exactly what's happened here. Fitzpatrick's message was less about stirring controversy and more about justice. It was about respect. Zach Sieler's journey is the kind of story Hollywood would love to tell. A 7th-round pick out of Ferris State, yes, Ferris State. Not Alabama or Georgia or some other football powerhouse. Sieler was initially drafted by the Baltimore Ravens in 2018. After spending some time on and off their roster, he found his way to Miami in 2019. Most guys in his situation don't last in the league. They bounce around practice squads, maybe get in a game or two, and then drift out of the NFL spotlight. But not Sieler. He clawed his way into the rotation in 2020, eventually earning a starting job through pure hustle and grit. What followed was a 3-year stretch that any team would envy. 180 tackles, 24 tackles for loss, and 9 sacks. He was the kind of player who didn't just show up, he made his presence felt every down. And then, the Dolphins finally recognized his value with that 2023 extension. But here's the kicker: since signing that extension, Sieler has only gotten better. We're talking about a guy who's become a legitimate top 10 edge rusher in the NFL. That's not hyperbole, that's backed by stats and film. In just the last 2 seasons, Sieler has racked up 10 sacks, 24 tackles for loss, 41 quarterback hits, and 118 tackles. That's elite production, no matter how you slice it. He's also showcased rare versatility for someone his size and position, defending 6 passes, forcing the fumbles, recovering 3, and even snagging the interceptions, one of which he returned for a touchdown. Those are game-changing plays. That's not just consistency, that's star power. Yet, somehow, he remains one of the most underpaid elite defenders in the league. It's almost ironic, in a league where potential often gets paid more than performance. What makes Sieler's situation even more fascinating is his professionalism. He could have easily chosen to hold out. It's a common move among players who believe they've outperformed their deals, but Sieler, he's been a full participant in every off-season activity. Voluntary workouts, mini camps, everything. That tells you a lot about the kind of teammate and man he is. It also makes the Dolphins' lack of urgency to restructure his deal a little puzzling. Here's a guy giving you everything on the field and in the locker room, and he's being paid like a mid-tier rotational piece. Not to mention, the market for edge rushers is exploding. The top 10 highest paid at his position all make north of $20 million a year. Sieler's making roughly $10 million annually. That's not a gap, it's a canyon. And it's starting to feel like a matter of when, not if, this becomes a bigger issue. The Dolphins should know better, too. They've already got one edge rusher, Bradley Chubb, eating up $20 million a year in cap space. Chubb and Sieler were neck and neck in production during the 2023 season. Both finished with 11 tackles for loss, though Chubb had 1 more sack. But here's the thing: Chubb missed the entire 2024 season due to injury. And guess who picked up the slack? Sieler. Not only did he lead the team in sacks and tackles for loss that year, but he also earned team MVP honors. That's not just a nod from the coaching staff, that's recognition from the entire organization. The players, the coaches, even the front office, everyone knows how crucial he is to Miami's success. And yet, there's been no movement on a restructured deal. It's a strange kind of silence, especially given what's at stake. Fitzpatrick's post brought that silence into sharp relief. He didn't call out the front office by name, but he didn't have to. The message was clear: you've got a gem on your hands, and you're paying him like he's ordinary. In a league where locker room morale can swing on a dime, this kind of contract standoff can send ripples through the team. Other players notice. They see who gets paid and who doesn't. They measure the loyalty of the franchise by how it treats its most loyal soldiers, and right now, the Dolphins risk sending the wrong message. If you play your heart out, if you outperform your contract, you might still get nothing more than a pat on the back. That's not a sustainable culture. That's how you lose the locker room and possibly the player. Sieler himself hasn't said much publicly, and that's consistent with who he is. He's not a loudmouth. He's not going to go on a podcast and air grievances. He shows up, puts in the work, and lets his game do the talking. But there's only so long a player can be underpaid and overlooked before the frustration starts. To show, if the Dolphins think they can string this along through the 2025 season without repercussions, they might be in for a rude awakening. All it takes is one injury, one game-changing play, or one overlooked payday for a player to reconsider his loyalty. And with Sieler's level of play, he would have suitors lining up the moment he hits free agency. This isn't just about the money, it's about value, respect, and doing right by a guy who's done everything right. What complicates the matter further is the Dolphins' recent history. With contract negotiations, they've let star players walk before, sometimes over a few $1 million, and in today's NFL, where cap space is flexible and creative accounting can keep stars around, there's really no excuse not to reward top-tier production, especially from a player who doesn't cause drama, doesn't skip practices, and has been your most consistent defensive weapon for 2 straight seasons. It's not just about securing talent, it's about building trust in your organization. When players see one of their own treated fairly, it reinforces belief in the system. When they see a guy like Sieler getting stiffed, it sends the opposite message. If the Dolphins want to remain contenders, they'll need to fix that culture, and fast. So where does this leave us heading into training camp? Right now, all eyes are on Sieler, not because he's holding out or stirring controversy, but because of what he represents. He's the blueprint for how a late-round pick can become a franchise cornerstone. He's a quiet leader who lets his work speak volumes. And he's a reminder that sometimes the best players aren't the ones with the flashiest names or the biggest contracts, they're the ones who show up every Sunday and make a difference. The Dolphins have a decision to make. Do they reward excellence and commitment? Or do they gamble that Sieler will continue to play at an elite level while being grossly underpaid? It's a gamble that could cost them more than just dollars. It could cost them a leader and a locker room. As for Ryan Fitzpatrick, his voice may no longer echo in huddles or on the field, but his words still carry weight. He's been in those trenches. He's shared the locker room with players who gave everything for the team. And when he speaks up on behalf of someone like Sieler, it's not noise, it's a signal. A signal that the Dolphins would be wise to heed before this turns into another cautionary tale of a team failing to recognize greatness in its own ranks. The time to act is now. Sieler has earned it. The stats say it. The tape confirms it. The locker room believes it. And now, even the franchise's former quarterback has made it clear. Pay the man, still with us. Then show some love. Hit that like button and let us know in the comments. What's your take on the Fins this week? It's the kind of headline that sends tremors across the NFL landscape. Word around the league is heating up with whispers louder than ever. Davante Adams might be heading to South Beach in a blockbuster trade that no one saw coming. The Miami Dolphins, already home to one of the most electric offenses in the league, are reportedly making major moves to acquire the superstar wide receiver from the Las Vegas Raiders. Although nothing has been officially confirmed, insiders close to the situation claim that preliminary talks have escalated into something far more serious. According to these rumors, both teams have been engaged in back-channel discussions, with Miami showing a willingness to part with significant draft capital, and maybe even a player or two to secure Adams. If this rumor proves to be true, the ripple effects across the AFC could be absolutely seismic, especially considering who Adams would be lining up with. Now let's talk about what this trade could mean on the field. Pairing Davante Adams with Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle isn't just stacking talent, it's assembling arguably the most lethal wide receiver trio in the modern NFL era. Hill's unmatched speed, Waddle's crisp route running and burst, and Adams' precision, strength, and catch radius would give quarterback Tua Tagovailoa a dream arsenal. Defenses would be forced into impossible decisions. Double Hill and Adams burns you. Focus on Adams and Waddle torches the slot. Try to cover all three. Good luck. Miami's offense, already one of the fastest in football, could enter a realm of pure nightmare fuel for defensive coordinators. There's a reason why social media is ablaze, with Dolphins fans dreaming up highlight reels and fantasy football Players drooling over stat projections. The excitement isn't just hype, it's rooted in the sheer potential. This rumored trio could unleash every Sunday from a strategic perspective. This rumored move signals that Miami is all in on contending for a Super Bowl right now. No more slow builds, no more cautious planning for future drafts. This is a team that believes its time is now. And when you consider the other AFC juggernauts like Kansas City, Baltimore, and Cincinnati, a move like this might be the edge they need to break through. Bringing in Davante Adams wouldn't just be about adding talent, it would be a psychological shot across the bow. It tells the rest of the league, we're not just here to play, we're here to dominate. Coach Mike McDaniel's offensive creativity, combined with this explosive arsenal, could produce an offensive system the league simply isn't prepared to stop. That is, of course, if this deal actually goes through, but if the buzz is to be believed, we might be closer to a shocking announcement than anyone expected. Let's not forget the other side of this potential blockbuster, the Las Vegas Raiders. Why would they even consider trading away their best offensive weapon? Well, that's where the whispers get even more interesting. There are reports of growing frustration within the Raiders organization. Adams reportedly hasn't been thrilled with the team's direction ever since his arrival. The quarterback carousel, questionable coaching decisions, and a lack of playoff relevance might have pushed him to the brink. While he's remained publicly professional, sources suggest that behind closed doors, Adams has been open to a fresh start, and with the Raiders potentially eyeing a full rebuild or at least a serious reset. The idea of getting maximum return for a 31-year-old wide receiver might not be so far-fetched. If that's the case, Miami would be the perfect trade partner, ready to win now and willing to pay the price. Financially, this trade wouldn't be easy to pull off, but it's not impossible either. Adams still has significant money owed on his contract, which could complicate the deal. But Miami has been known to manipulate the cap with precision, especially under the current regime. With creative structuring and possibly some veteran cuts or contract restructures, the Dolphins could realistically make room for Adams, and let's be honest, when a generational talent like him becomes available, teams find ways to make it work. More importantly, Adams is still playing at an elite level, and his skill set shows no signs of diminishing. His presence in the locker room could also serve as a mentorship opportunity for younger players, while also reinforcing a culture of winning. The front office in Miami may view this as a once-in-a-decade opportunity to push all the chips to the center of the table and go for it all. And what about Tua Tagovailoa in all this? This rumored deal could define his career for a quarterback who has already shown growth and resilience. Adding Adams to his target arsenal would put him under a microscope like never before. The excuses would be gone, the weapons are there, the system is built. It would be championship or bust. But there's another side to that coin. This might be exactly what Tua needs. Having the league's most terrifying trio of receivers might allow him to take that final leap into superstardom. With defensive backs spread thin and safeties terrified of getting burned deep, Tua's quick release and accuracy could flourish like never before. He wouldn't need to be Superman, he'd just need to be efficient, smart, and consistent, something he's already shown flashes of. This rumored trade could elevate not just the team, but his legacy as well. Naturally, not everyone is convinced this trade is smart. Some analysts argue that giving up multiple draft picks and potentially a key defensive player could hurt the Dolphins long term. They point to teams like the Rams, who went all in for short-term glory and are now dealing with the consequences. There's also the chemistry factor with bringing in such a high-profile receiver disrupt what's already working in Miami. Hill and Waddle have a tight bond and clearly work well in McDaniel's system. Adding another alpha like Adams could upset the balance, but others push back, saying that great players figure it out. Talent like this doesn't clash, it elevates. And with McDaniel's reputation as a communicator and players coach, there's strong belief he could manage the egos and align everyone toward one goal: bringing a Lombardi trophy to Miami for the first time in decades. This rumor has also set social media on fire. Dolphins fans are in a frenzy, creating mock-up jerseys with Adams in aqua and orange, splicing highlight tapes of Hill, Waddle, and Adams into dream sequences. Raiders fans, on the other hand, are split, some devastated at the thought of losing their star, others ready to embrace a rebuild and finally hit the reset button. NFL insiders are keeping tight-lipped, but subtle clues like cryptic tweets, deleted posts, and even sideline body language are feeding the speculation. It's the kind of sports theater fans live for, a high-stakes chess match behind the scenes. full of tension, emotion, and possibility until something official is announced. It remains just that, a possibility. But the noise is getting louder, and where there's smoke in the NFL, there's often fire. It's worth remembering that Miami isn't exactly a stranger to splashy moves just in recent years. They've traded for TYREEK Hill, Signe Ramsey, and built one of the most eye-catching rosters in the league. This rumor deal fits the mold of a franchise that wants to win now, not wait. Owner Stephen Ross has never been shy about spending big or thinking big. If the opportunity is truly there, there's a sense that Miami will do whatever it takes to make it happen, and if it does, we're not just talking about a great offense. We're talking about a potential dynasty in the making, in a league that values speed, versatility, and mismatch nightmares. Adams would be the final piece to a puzzle that might just be unstoppable. The rest of the AFC and the NFL would be officially on notice. Until official confirmation drops, we're left with rumors, speculation, and imagination, but sometimes that's where the most exciting stories live. The idea of Davante Adams suiting up in Miami colors, joining TYREEK Hill and Jalen Waddle, feels almost too good to be true, but that's what makes it so thrilling. The NFL is a league built on boldness, and if the Dolphins truly believe this move could bring a championship, who's to say they won't make it, whether you love it, hate it, or just want to see how it plays out? One thing is clear, this rumor has changed the conversation. Suddenly, the Dolphins aren't just contenders, they're headline makers. And if this move becomes reality, we might be witnessing the formation of one of the most dangerous offensive units the league has ever seen. Stay tuned, the next few days could be wild. That's a wrap for today's dive. If you're loving the content, share it with a fellow Dolphins fan, hit subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss a splash. Fins up!